Max, welcome to the TechEd house.
There he is. Hey, Max.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, welcome to our beautiful living room. If you spot the cat whilst you're in the session with us, you get extra points.
Ooh, I will be paying attention.
Excellent. All right, so your topic is clearly resonating and very important because we're seeing so many questions coming in as well. I'll just dive right in. The first question I can see here, Max, for you is, it would be great to hear your recommendations to ABAP developers in order to stay updated. Have you got any tips there for the ABAP developers?
Well, I've got a big one. It's community.sap.com as the first home for everything, all things SAP. But in all seriousness, the reality is SAP is going on this drastic journey with our customers into the cloud, and for ABAP developers who are focused on upskilling and remaining connected and participating in that transition where there is just so much professional, personal, commercial opportunity available. You know, there are immense resources we have available in our content on community.sap.com, in the training that we're bringing to the table through Open SAP, that I would encourage all people to stay apprised of and to stay engaged around, because that's where we're going to be bringing new capabilities. We're going to be helping people polish and participate on the journey to S4 with our customer base. And I would just encourage you to be engaged, be up to speed, and stay current with all things SAP learning.
Okay, great. Now, the next question I think is particularly relevant to you because I know in your previous role was also Chief Innovation Officer. I know you're very interested in all things, future-oriented, and it was great there in your strategy talk, the comparison between where we have been and where we are going to. The next question is, what does the classroom of the future look like to you?
2020 is quite a year, so I'd be remiss if I started without saying it's clear that 2020 has illustrated the tools we need to educate, to upskill, to participate in this technology ecosystem have evolved far beyond where we thought they would have been 2 decades ago. I mean, certainly global pandemic hits and we can have a conference and engage with one another via Zoom, right? And it feels seamless. That has implications for how we learn and upskill everywhere in our environment. But I also think that 2020 has illustrated that there isn't a one-size-fits-all solution to how we learn and how we enable ourselves in new formats. For me, the future of the learning experience is multifaceted. We as developers want to engage with content in real time. When we have a problem, we want to dive into microloop. When a new feature is released, we want to watch a quick video and then get hands-on inside a development platform. When we think about going through a pivot point, understanding how, for instance, an S4 implementation will look over some lengthy period of time, we actually want to go and participate in a classroom environment. And what I would say is the future classroom looks multifaceted. It is a blended experience that's brought to learners, addressing their problem in the way they want to engage over time. And that will mean, there will be more digital content that's brought to you on demand. There will be more hands-on exposure that is consistent across the cloud properties that we upskill you on. And there will be an ability to engage with our instructors in any fashion that you want. I mean, this year, just for an example, that we've had over 200% growth in our virtual instructor-led classroom engagements. We've also had more than 600% oversubscription to our one-on-one moderated sessions. And it's an example that our learners will come to us and they will signal how they would want to engage. And we need to be prepared to meet them everywhere in the SAP community that they want to engage.
Those are incredible statistics. That's very impressive. One of the things you touched on in your strategy talk was the idea of making it easier and simpler for people to learn. And you said sometimes it can be, there's just so much content out there, it can be overwhelming. Now, this next question touches a little bit on that, I think. It says, Will you integrate SAP Learning Hub into the SAP Developer Discovery Center and Learning Journeys and Open SAP? So what's your response to that question?
Yes. No, seriously, though, the answer is absolutely. We need to, and I think this is true of everyone in the technology ecosystem. If you're a developer, you are inundated with content to absorb from any number of providers. And we need to recognize as SAP that our job is to make your life easier, not more complicated. And that means we need to be more prescriptive overall, and we will be, in terms of how you find content that's relevant to you, given your use case, your role, the challenge that you're dealing with, across all of our platforms, and frankly, across platforms externally. And you've started to see this in the learning journeys we have available on sap.com, that we start to reference, for instance, external content on YouTube. How can we make it easier for every one of the developers, of the product managers, of the administrators in the SAP community to upskill themselves, regardless of where content lies, is at the top of our list of things to tackle. And certainly that means that we need to integrate content from across our platforms with one another.
All right, touching on or staying on that topic of different channels and different platforms, the next question is, what are different channels that a consultant has to upskill in their areas of interest?
I'll give 3 quick examples. When it comes to free courses to get you upskilled, to provide you overviews, et cetera, Open SAP is fantastic. So I can't encourage you enough to go to open.sap.com. and to get a bit more exposure to the great content we have available. We also obviously have the Learning Hub, which is an immersive experience where you can subscribe and engage in all sorts of digital content, get access to our live systems, go through certification approaches, engage with our subject matter experts directly in one-on-one sessions. We have the community as well, which is the great place for you to get exposure to all of our ideas and engage with one another. And more you'll see us linking these assets together and making it easier for you to switch from one place to the other to upskill yourself on your journey.
Okay, there's a question here that I can see. It's not actually the one with the highest votes, but it is related, so I'm going to put it to you. It says, could you explain the difference between Learning Hub and Open SAP?
Absolutely. Open SAP is our MOOC available for all people to engage freely, to go through courses with their peers in a synchronous model. So imagine you're in a university setting and you're educating yourself on whatever it is. You sit down with your classmates, you get lectured content, you get take-home assignments, you take an exam. At the end of an instructional course, you take a test, you pass, you get a degree or a certification. Open SAP is that MOOC structure for our community, saying for free, we will enable everyone across the ecosystem to come in, to go through these programs at the same time, to get certified and move forward. Learning Hub is a very different but complementary model where we say for self-driven education, we have digital assets that you can go through. We have written documentation. We have peer-to-peer learning rooms where you can engage with subject matter experts. We have the opportunity for you to sign up for one-on-one coaching. And then, ultimately the opportunity for you to take yourself through certification. For that sort of premium learning experience that's more bespoke to what every individual learner needs, as opposed to this traditional course structure, we make the Learning Hub available digitally to anyone who'd like to participate. And hopefully we have folks at TechEd who are signing up right now who are getting their first exposure to this. I think we've had more than 5,500 people enter learning rooms and start collaborating in the last week, even before TechEd kicked off on the Learning Hub event edition.
That's fantastic. Wow, that's gone really fast, even before TechEd even kicked off. That's amazing. Okay, I can see 2 questions here, one from a developer perspective and one from a customer perspective, but basically asking the same thing, what's my roadmap for learning? So let's start with the developer's perspective. It says, I'm a developer and I want to improve my functional skills. What's the roadmap for the future? What would you say to that developer?
And I'm not meaning to be coy, but it sort of depends, because there are so many different types of developers tackling so many different types of challenges. If you think about your customer, what direction you're moving, what interests you. If, for instance, you're the type of person that likes to build apps and extend enterprise systems to kind of build the future and think about how this could look at a UX layer, at the user interaction layer, et cetera, we have learning journeys that give you access and exposure to the extension suite on CP. And I would encourage everybody who is in that vein to look at those learning journeys on sap.com to understand, how we would give you exposure to different pieces of content and what would get you to that next level to move forward with SAP. But there are a lot of people who think about very different topics. So if you're obsessed with analytics and machine learning, we have separate pathways where we can kind of guide you through what are the technologies, what are the approaches, frankly, what are the frameworks to think about the world from a design thinking perspective, et cetera, that would get you upskilled in that area. And so there, I can't encourage people enough to look at the learning journeys we have structured, to kind of go through them. There will be a lot of content that on a personal basis for every individual learner, you might look at the learning journey and say, 30% of that I already know, I'm very comfortable, but this 70%, I think that makes sense, so I'm going to go down that path. We've got, I think, at this point, more than 200 learning journeys available to dive into that guide SAP members of the ecosystem through kind of that prescriptive path on how to evolve your process, how to make progress and grow with SAP.
So you just said they're members of the ecosystem. So I'm interested to hear, just as this person is, how does it work for the customers then? Because they've written in, most of the learning questions seem to be related to the SAP community, but what about learning for SAP customers and the direction SAP is taking with tools to enable customers to learn?
All of the things that I'm talking about right now are available, whether it's to developers in the community, to customers, to administrators, et cetera. And I should specify, one of the reasons you hear me say ecosystem so much is I actually don't distinguish. If you're a great SAP customer making a decision about frankly, your future with SAP, how and what applications to roll out, I would assume you want the same sort of strategic direction, the description of functionality, et cetera, that a developer making a similar bet would want, albeit there's some specifics of the developer content that are different than the administrator content, that are different than the designer content. But we have to bring that to everybody in simple and easy to find channels. And for our customers, we have enormous engagement on things like Open SAP because it's a great channel for people who are considering taking a decision about the future application landscape for their environment to find out what SAP actually brings to the table. What's the value that we create? What's the way of working with us? And again, to go through an Open SAP course is no cost to anyone. It is just our investment in making sure that the content is there so that people who are interested in learning and engaging with us and understanding our vision of the future and how we can create value together, it's our investment in driving that forward.
Okay, perfect. So we've looked at things kind of, from the 30,000 feet perspective. There's a very specific question here around S/4HANA. It says, we see very few offerings on SAP Learning Hub for S/4HANA, but S/4HANA is rapidly growing, and how do I keep pace?
So I would say we have a lot. There are fewer offerings in the event edition on S/4HANA, in part because the event edition is really focused on platform, developer content, et cetera. If you go to the learning journeys and explore what we have available on S4, it's pretty vast. And I'd say, I think it's roughly 55 or 60% of all the content we make available and we have people engaging with is around the ERP transformation overall. So big investment for us, lots available on Open SAP, lots of Learning Hub content available as well, and increasingly will be invested in and see content created for.
Perfect, thank you. The next question is about getting kind of hands-on with the learning content. It says here, hands-on is important. It would be awesome if we could have sandbox-like environments. Is that possible?
Yes, and I think that is increasingly important in a couple of ways. One is, I'll say, for administrators and users, for folks who are upskilling themselves on how to make the most use of SAP applications. Certainly, our Learning Hub offerings include access to SAP Live Access, which is effectively a sandbox for making use of applications, going through exercises, and consuming there. But we also have this shift to the cloud that we've talked about so much that enables us to do very, very different things, which is, in fact, give people access to extensible environments, to trial landscapes, and to test out what can be done elsewhere. And I'm very happy for the announcement that we've made as well around the removing the limitations of the trial landscape for SAP Cloud Platform, and the focus for really moving to a developer tier for 2021. Perfect.
Then coming back to the topic of S4HANA for a second, it says, is SAP R3 still relevant, or a migration to S4HANA would be a better learning path right now? So would a migration or learning about the migration to S4HANA be a better learning path right now?
I'd encourage everybody who has the opportunity to upskill themselves on the migration path to S4HANA to do so, in part because I think it's, as I would describe it, it's a windfall of opportunity for everyone involved. If you think about the shift, I mean, SAP is the foundation by which business runs, right? 76% of global transactions. You heard from Thomas in his Q&A session about all of the great work that we're doing to support the supply chains that are distributing things like the COVID vaccine. The world runs on SAP, and that's something we at SAP, and hopefully all of you in the ecosystem, are very proud of. We also are very, very passionate about the transformation and the opportunities that S4 brings. And so there will be a great deal of opportunity as the world that runs on SAP migrates forward to further deploy S4 to extend around its edges and to make the most use of it. That's not to say that there isn't a lot of ECC opportunity out there in the world as well, because certainly every customer that migrates to S4 has an ECC environment that they're thinking of taking on that journey. And so understanding the complete SAP landscape, certainly provides a lot of value. But if you were asking, my specific opinion, I would say for everybody who's making a decision on where and what to upskill on, there's no way to go wrong upskilling on S4 content.
You mentioned the word there before, COVID and the COVID-19 pandemic. What kind of impact has that had on the learning offerings at SAP? I think you mentioned some incredible statistics before about how we've seen demand rise for virtual training, obviously. But what other kind of impacts has it had, if any?
I think it's the same across a lot of industries. So COVID hit us like a freight train in the beginning of this year. The very lucky thing is that for years, SAP has been investing in digital channels, in opportunities to drive engagement. We had Open SAP, the infrastructure for the Learning Hub was well adopted, and we'd actually enabled all of our classroom environments already to deliver in hybrid or virtual models. This year, what we saw was, everyone who had previously engaged with us in a classroom environment physically, upskilling themselves on SAP in dedicated session over the course of a week or 3 days, was able to fairly quickly reorient and figure out how to upskill and educate themselves in a digital model, whether it's driven themselves or done in conjunction with other members of a classroom environment, et cetera. I'm really proud of the team for having pulled this off, and the community for having driven it forward. I mean, this year we have already almost 100,000 certifications, which is up significantly on an annual basis from the year before. I think we've had 25% growth nearly in Open SAP course enrollments. And this is hundreds of thousands of people who are engaging on an annual basis to upskill themselves. And so I see what we have experienced is, this massive push to go from what were, wonderful legacy channels in a pre-digital environment to shift very rapidly to figure out how we deliver at scale into our customer base, into our partner base, and into our development ecosystem in a way that brings all of the content that we know people needed forward digitally.
With this shift towards virtual learning, do you see other aspects that people need to focus on to stay up to date and for their own career development? I mean, what kind of impact do you see there?
Yeah, I mentioned certification, and quickly I'll touch on this. I mean, everybody's trying to accomplish the same thing, and we at SAP keep this at the top of our mind as sort of like a continuous learner through your career. You have an aspiration to make progress, and the more we can do to support you, whether you're a partner, whether you're a customer, whether you're a developer, in creating that progress and in achieving success, however you define it, the better off we'll be for it. And what we've been doing a lot this year is investing in the things that enable that. So I mentioned the certification, the nearly 100,000 people that have completed already this year, new SAP certifications. Those certifications result demonstrably in higher compensation, faster job placement rates. I think in Europe we have a back to work program for people who've lost their jobs. And there's an 80% placement rate of folks who complete an SAP certification in the months following that certification. And that's phenomenal. In a year where we have massive long-term unemployment rises, that's what we need to invest in, that full experience. It's not just about delivering content into your computer screen, but it's about delivering the certification that shows, you are an accredited individual. We've started to invest in things like one-on-one mentorship. So if you join a learning room, you can register for mentorship from a subject matter expert who can coach you up on, what parts of a learning journey are specifically important for you. And these types of innovations around that sort of full learning experience are what's required to make the most of your engagement with SAP. And frankly, we owe it to everybody in our ecosystem to make sure that we continue to invest to make them as successful as possible.
Okay, so when you talk about the certification and the learning journeys and the learning experience as a whole, obviously at TechEd we have some special offerings, some special editions, and I know you mentioned those a little bit in your strategy talk, but maybe you want to take a couple of minutes to just go into that in a little bit more detail.
Wonderful, and I appreciate that. We've made so for those of you who may have missed the talk or those of you who want to know a little bit more, we've made the Learning Hub and a special event edition available with 8 learning journeys for free to TechEd registrants. We also, as part of this, have 4 learning journeys tied to what I would consider TechEd relevant content, CPI, extensions, SAC, and then Fiori and UI5 applications available. And with those learning journeys, you should be able to upskill yourself on everything related and required to certify yourself, of which we've provided discounted certification as well. I should also say, for everybody who's interested and engaged in going down that path, within 12 hours of announcing that this was available, and this was, again, a week ago, well ahead of the kickoff of TechEd, I think I got an update on more than 100 people who had immediately registered, spent all day going through a course, and then certified themselves. And so I think that's great proof that it's not an onerous initiative. It's our investment in you, and we absolutely believe that at rapid pace, this should be empowering to everyone out there who's interested in upskilling on SAP.
This is almost serendipitous, I feel, because, I mean, during the keynote we touched on, during the Q&A we touched on so many things that were in the keynote. Now, you've just mentioned the topics CPI, SAC, Fiori, they all came up in the Q&A earlier as well, so I feel like everything's kind of the puzzle pieces are coming together and everything's working out very well this evening here on Channel 1. So outside of the Learning Hub offerings, are there particular sessions or anything that you would recommend, tips for people attending TechEd? And maybe just out of interest, how many TechEds have you been to? Have you been to lots?
This is going on. This would be 9 for me.
9, right? Okay, not quite up to Craig's standards, but definitely a lot more than me. So sorry, what tips would you have? As I would say that puts you certainly at expert level if you've been to 9 TechEds. What would your tips be for TechEd and then just in general for learning?
My favorite part of TechEd is sessions like this, right? I mean, well, obviously, I'm always happy for announcements and keynotes, and they're great. But it's also your opportunity to ask us the tough questions, to engage, to reach out. We're all monitoring Twitter. We're looking at announcements, and I'd say use this as an opportunity to engage with the leaders that you want to hear more from at SAP. They're your channel to get more insight and, frankly, to make sure your feedback is heard. And that's the most important thing for all of us. I mean, I love TechEd because it's my opportunity to hear to the good, the bad, and the ugly, about what's going on. And that's, there's nothing more important than feedback as we push forward on this journey together. We're all here because we're interested in this transformation that SAP is driving with our ecosystem, in our customer base, with our partners, et cetera. And so I would just encourage you to speak up, to engage, to talk to different folks who are around and paying attention, whether it be Channel 1 or elsewhere. The second thing I'll say is I'm always looking for an opportunity to hear more about the good stuff. And so I'll be tuning in for Jan Gild's update as well as Michael Omling's, and looking forward to hearing some of the things we're thinking about from an architecture perspective as it pertains to the development and future direction of S4.
Perfect. Now, I think that Craig and team have missed a trick here because correct me if I'm wrong, this already exists, but you just said, I love TechEd, and I feel that there should be some kind of pin, some kind of badge that says, I heart TechEd on it. Does that exist already?
There might be 1 or 2.
Really?
Scattered around the house.
What you can't see is the tattoo that Craig has.
They told me I wasn't allowed to show it on camera. No, there might be 1 laying around here somewhere.
All right.
Along with I will code for food.
Yes. Yeah.
So, Max, I had a question that I wanted to throw in there. We've talked a lot about TechEd and a lot of the different things that are coming up. You've touched on Open SAP and the Learning Hub and community, and I couldn't have been more excited when I hear all of these things because these are the things that are near and dear to me as well. But you mentioned that you're paying attention on these different platforms and Twitter and everything else. But if people want to know more after the event, we're TechEd's, we're moving on and it's near the end of the year. People are starting to go into a little bit of downtime and everything like that, and they want to learn more. Where exactly should they start? I mean, we've named out websites, community.sap.com, open.sap.com. Where is the starting point for them?
Well, for folks who are listening here, they're clearly registered for TechEd, and I can't encourage you more to go to learninghub.sap.com/TechEd and just jump right into the Learning Hub and make sure you get your value out of this registration. But there is great content available there. I also think there's really one home for me. So I'm always at community.sap.com as the core jumping off point. I am following the community on Twitter. Obviously, I would encourage you to follow SAP Education, SAP EDU, so that you get updates around new content, programs, offerings that are available. And from those feeds, those really need to be the jumping off point for everybody. And you will see more and more focus and attention over the next year as we drive simplicity in how we communicate and how we make this content available to all of you moving forward.
That's brilliant. Thank you so much, Max, for taking the time to be with us today. We've really, really appreciated it. It's been great to talk to you and to get all of your insights on what is such an important topic. So thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of TechEd. I hope you can attend all of the sessions and just get the full experience as much as you would if you were normally there on site. But thank you again, and we'll see you again soon. Thank you very much.
Of course. Thanks for having me.